for special teams to be important to your kids, they need to understand why, right? We always want to explain to them why we do what we do and why it's important to promote that buy-in, okay? And where it starts for us with our players is getting them to understand the impact of field position, okay? The average play on special teams is well over 30 yards. The average offensive play is 5 or 6 yards. Okay, so we want our guys to understand that if it's a punt or if it's a kickoff, return, right, those things we're talking about, huge changes in field position, huge changes in momentum in the game. Might have to do this manually. I thought this clicker would work. Here's the diagram we show them. When we're starting off preseason camp, our first meeting on special teams, when we're starting off even spring practice and talking about a special teams overview, we want our guys to understand visually how field position is going to impact our ability to score or the opponent's ability to score, okay? So we talk about where a drive starts, okay, and the chances of scoring based on that field position to emphasize the impact of special teams. All right, how else do we emphasize special teams? Guys, if you have a practice session and you spend 10 or 15 minutes on special teams, it's just not important, okay? If you have a practice session that's 2 hours and 15 minutes and you spend 40 minutes on special teams, your kids are going to know it's important. If you just throw it at the end of practice when your kids are tired and they've lost focus, you're not going to get a whole lot out of it. All right? If you mix it in and it's 10 minutes here and it's 10 minutes there and it's around other important stuff you're doing in practice, your kids are going to understand that special teams is important. So and I'll show you how much time we put into it later on in this clinic, but we do commit the time to it, all right? We do spend meeting time on it every day. We have a 20-minute special teams meeting. Our O&D linemen and our quarterbacks, they'll go with their position coaches, but everybody else is in that special teams meeting before we go to our position meetings on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Thursday, on Sundays. So we spend a lot of meeting time every day on special teams. I'll show you a pledge here. If you're into kind of that, I don't know, corny stuff, you know, the stuff that your kids are gonna take some pride in, that some people like, some people don't like, you get them to sign a special teams pledge. I'll show that to you. All right, a weekly goal chart in terms of reaching goals for all the units that you have. We keep a point production chart for every player who participates on special teams. We post it every week so that these kids know it's competitive. We want them to come in and look at the board and see who's at the top of the list, who's being the most productive guys on our teams from a special team standpoint. We recognize a player of the week every week, just like we do on offense and defense and scout team. All right? I think trinkets are great. All right, a couple years ago at Elon, I used to sit in a special teams meeting on Sunday, and the first guy that crossed the 30-yard line on every kickoff, I'd throw a Milky Way bar or a Snickers bar to him or whatever, just to recognize him in front of the group. Our special teams coach at Ball State right now, Justin Lustig, he's got all kinds of gadgets he puts in guys' lockers, you know, for great things they did that week on special teams. Okay? Nicknames for units. I think this is a great way, again, for the kids to get excited about it. Our kickoff cover team right now, we call the assault unit, all right? And when they come together on the sideline, Coach Lustig says to them, hit the beach, all right? The whole, you know, war analogy type thing, and the kids get excited about it, all right? So again, a little bit of creativity, all right? Notes in lockers, all right? So when we watch the film from practice every day, we have a little red card, all right, and we stick it in the locker. It's kind of like the pink slip you get in your locker, right? But what it is it's a note about something really good that a guy did, or here's something we want to correct and fix for tomorrow. Okay, and then lastly, the head coach involvement. I think when the head coach is sitting in on all those special teams meetings with the staff, when the head coach is sitting in and actively participating in those meetings with the players, and he's coaching it on the field, it sends a message that this is really important. Here's that special teams pledge I was telling you about that our kids would sign at the beginning of the year. All right, we'd have them read it, and basically what it's saying is that we know we're not perfect, but we're not going to make the same mistake twice. I'm going to take this real seriously. I know I can make a meaningful contribution to our team as a special teams player, whether I'm a starter, a backup, a senior, or a freshman. Okay? All right, send the right message. Again, if you're the head coach and you're off on the side watching while special teams is being coached in practice, that sends one message. But if you're right in there and you're coaching the right side on the punt protection unit, or you're coaching the front line on the kickoff return, or you're coaching the returners on punt return, all right, that's going to send a message to your entire team that this is important to you and to your whole organization, okay? I mentioned earlier about how it gives me a chance to interact with almost every player on the roster, from senior down to freshman, with very few exceptions, which is something that's very fulfilling to me every day out on the field. And then the other piece is that if you are actively involved in special teams as a head coach, and you understand the role that that's going to play in winning the game on Saturday, I think it allows you to help manage and oversee your offensive and defensive coordinators as well. Because at the end of the day, my job is to keep everybody on the same page. And I want to make sure that all three of those coordinators know going into a game what it's going to take for us to win that game and all be on the same page. And maybe that offensive coordinator wants to throw it a little bit more, but we don't want to take as many risks in that game offensively because of what our defensive coordinator's up against, and so on and so forth. So again, just bringing everybody together